Newsradio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Mark Lawrence and Ben Reichley.
Greetings and welcome on board the WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. It is entitled On the Mark. I am Mark Lawrence, host of the show. It's the WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show where you get to interact with our audience today. We have a 90-day session, or 90-minute session of open phone. Seems like 90 days sometimes, but just 90 minutes. And across from me is Ben Reichley, local businessman, conservative, co-host, stockholder in Walmart, and here with this information. I'm so glad. I rely on rumors, but you are facts, right?
Don't have stock. Well, it could. Depends on which pension plan. A lot of people don't realize, especially some of the folks who want to complain about the environment and particularly about fossil fuels, and if they look at their pension plans or their retirement plans and they see that many of the plans are invested in companies and energy companies that are involved. But no, I don't have any direct stock in Walmart or Target or Kmart.
All right. Well, I don't have a pension plan, so I don't have to worry about that. 1-800-795-9565 is the appropriate name.
You have no 401k.
Well, yeah, I do.
Well, that's your pension plan.
I know. I lied about that. I was just making it up. Actually, I understand what you're saying, because if you look deep and then deep into some of the pension plans, you know, it doesn't say, well, we have Sunoco stock, but it says, you know, we enjoy funding from the Smith Fund. So you look into the Smith Fund, and then you look in that, and that's Sunoco plus Amoco plus everybody else. So yeah, you got to keep, if you really want to sort of clean out and be. Well, we had talked about this, and I was wearing a shirt. I don't remember. I pointed out my shirt, so I looked at the tag later in the day, made in Mexico. So, you know, in some ways, not immune to that same issue we were talking about. All right, well, we're going to recap what we're talking about momentarily, but I am very glad that Ben is back, and he did bring some more information that hopefully will shed a light on our conversation. So we would just love to hear from you or the topic of your selection. And as I started to say before I interrupted myself, the Groninger Insurance toll-free line is open for any purpose you wish. Groninger Insurance Agency itself, they are now open for business Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Oh, well, I guess not yet, but soon. And 9 o'clock they'll open. But you can make an appointment at 8:30. I've seen that happen. Or meet them someplace at a fine local establishment and enjoy a breakfast meeting with John or Jim or Paula or Mel or the rest of the staff at Groninger. They would just love to help you out, and no matter when you need to meet with them. GroningerInsurance.com is the place to begin and get those wheels rolling. They'd love to help you do so. On the Mark, brought to you by the Sunbury Motor Company, family-owned dealership since 1915, 4th Street, Sunbury, and routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. My Raptor's been sold. I saw the big sold sign on it. It stayed there throughout the week, and I thought, maybe the guy's going to renege, but then he or she came back and got it. So my Raptor's gone. But there's still some other ones there, and they're just as big and just as beautiful, and they're big trucks, and boy, would they haul you up to the mountains in a big fat hurry. SunburyMotors.com, the place to find out what a Raptor is. And it's not a bird of prey. It is a big fat truck, and they would love to help you out. SunburyMotors.com. Check them out. They also have the Quick Lane. If you just need your existing vehicle worked on fast, they would love to help you out. SunburyMotors.com. The Lenape Solar email in-basket is open. 2 emails pending, one from Cindy and one from Rob, and we'll read those on the radio as the hour progresses. Lenape Solar email in-basket open. Email on the mark at WKOK.com. We'll read your email on the radio. Lenape is located at 140 South 2nd Street in Sunbury, 17801. You can find them on the web at 286-1496. Find them at lenapesolar.com if you're looking to look them up. If you were enjoying that high humidity over the weekend and thinking, boy, I wish we had some sort of a ductless HVAC Fujitsu heat system here that would use one small unit for heat pump outdoors and 3 or 4 units indoors. Guess what? That's my surprise sound. They have that for you at LenapeSolar.com. And very reasonable prices to install these devices. And baby, they are ultra efficient. And air conditioning and humidification, dehumidification is part of the beauty. But guess what? They also do heat. and they would love to provide supplemental heat to the same rooms with the same device for the same price, and they would just love to help you out. The webcam is up and running. I do see across the control screen that the webcam monitor looks crystal clear. The audio streaming, Kevin has done everything to make it perfect, so we thank him for that. So you can watch us during the webcam, and just go to WKOK.com, click on the little Ustream triangle, click there, and you watch the show live, or it's a 24-hour archive right there, and we'll rewrite over that tomorrow. But if you'd like to watch last Friday's show, or the day before, just go to WKOK.com, click on the YouTube channel, and you get a free subscription. What that means is if you give them your email, they'll send you a note every time we post a new video. So probably about a dozen times a week you'll get an email that'll say precisely what's there, whether it's some raw footage of some incident around the valley, or important pictures from the 94KX Cares for Kids Radiothon, or if it is the latest On the Mark episode. Follow us on Twitter too, at 1070 WKOK, or at WKOK 1070, and we'll make sure that you get a tweet when videos go up as well. Kevin Herr is the man on the other side of the glass that makes it all happen. Street-level conservatism is what we define his political leanings. So good morning, Kevin.
How are you, gentlemen?
I'm perfect. Ben, you're on the gentleman.
Good. Kevin and I had a conversation, and he's not buying that football season started last night. No, it was the first NFL football game last night.
Was it preseason? It was last night.
Hall of Fame game. Interesting inductees in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure Kevin, you and Jonesy will discuss in detail, but very interesting. One I will say that is probably the best athlete to never play a position per se on the field was a gentleman named Ray Guy, who was a punter for the Oakland Raiders that just was such a good athlete, but a great story about him. But Kevin, football season has started. Penn State opens today for practice.
High school is a week away for practices officially getting underway. And by the way, Kutztown, Pennsylvania State University, as a matter of fact, got its first entry into the Football Hall of Fame with Andre Reed, the former Bill.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Andre Reed is that the first PSAC player to go into the Hall of Fame?
That I'm not sure about. I'll have to find out. But I think he's the first. I'm pretty sure he's the first one at Kutztown, but not sure about the first piece.
I would say, I would put the money on you there, Kevin.
And they also put the man in the Hall of Fame who, one of those few football players who becomes more famous after his football career. Mr. Strahan got in thanks to his good playing.
He's the all-time sack leader in the NFL, so he got in, as he says, because of his dental work, or lack of.
I give him credit. He has a great sense of humor about himself, and most of the bronze busts that are in the Hall of Fame are usually straight-faced, no smiles or anything. His is smiling, showing the gap in his tooth, because that's what he wanted it. Well, he wanted the gap in his teeth shown. He said that's what people think about it.
That's his brand, and his brand is rising right now. He's on the morning show.
Kelly Ripa is his.
Well, he's a regular contributor and studio host on GMA.
Kevin is the producer for the Kelly Ripa and Michael Strahan show also, so he does double duty.
It's a quick flight to New York in that 9 o'clock hour.
Considering that they're on simultaneously, there's some logistical issues there, but
but the humidity of August brings in the fall practices for all the colleges and high school athletics.
Which means the bands will be practicing soon.
I was going to say a lot of the band camps start today, as a matter of fact.
Band camp. Isn't there a movie about that?
Not directly about it, but indirectly. Yeah.
Not the ones around here, anyway. The things that were in band camp don't happen locally, I can assure you of that. Especially on the bus rides. It's all different. All right, well, we are talking about August, and we do not have an August program today. Hopefully it'll be very lively, and we would love to include you. We do see 2 emails pending. So one says sticking it to the taxpayer, so I'm assuming that that's the same topic that we talked about before. Walmart, on Friday when we were last on the radio, we did talk about Walmart, and we don't have to take this up. If you call us with a new topic or a suggestion or something that irritates you or that you're happy about, you're welcome to contact us and let us know that we should change subjects, but feel free to give us a buzz. 1-800-795-9565 is the telephone number. We were talking about Walmart, and I had mentioned that it's not the kind of place that I would want to shop, but we're very glad that Ben, who is more factually oriented, had the information that said, that really if you're supporting Walmart, you're basically supporting a wide swath of the U.S. economy in general. And we also talk about imported goods and the global impact of, we'll call it substandard labor practices around the world, which I think the trend, as near as I can tell, is in a positive direction globally, and certainly maybe slower in some areas than others, but certainly the trend is positive.
I think the trend, and we hit on it a little bit, the trend started initially. There was
trend of improvements started.
Yeah, well, the awareness started. I believe the major factor was going back to Gifford.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
When
refresh my memory.
What was she?
Kathy Lee Gifford.
Yeah, well, she was marketing a line of products, and I don't believe it was Kmart. I don't believe it was Walmart, and of course Target or Target wasn't around at that time, but she had products. It was JCPenney, I think.
Okay.
It was, and then she found out that they were basically in sweatshops. And I believe she started really to create now, it was already there. There was awareness around, but she really brought it to light and opened it up, and then, but also too, in that there's a safety factor, there's an understanding factor, but when you go into different cultures, and that's why some American businesses can thrive in other cultures and some of them don't. Speaking of Walmart, Walmart has problems in Germany. There's a couple other countries because of the culture of buying. But when you go into a culture of work, where do you then draw the line? And the companies now are saying, no, you have to meet these minimum standards.
Culture of work meaning people love to work.
Well, people want to work, but can they work 12 hours a day? Can they work without breaks? Is it child labor? But when you go into certain cultures, there are things that people do that might upset us, but that's within their culture. However, then there are people who run these factories. Mark, you go to a country and you say, I'd like you to produce these widgets, and the person says, I'll produce these widgets at these rates, and I'll meet your quality expectations and all this, and you come back and you say, hold it, you can only let those people work 9 hours a day, or you can only let these people do this or that, and then they come back and say, well, we can't then meet your expectations. Well, then that's a business decision you want to make. But the sweatshops that you can, a whole array of companies were involved with. Nike got caught up in it, and I believe it was the Vietnam shops. But you look at how do you add, as a business person or as the United States, how do you add to a country's work culture, and then how do you dictate more positives? Or if you leave altogether, was that $3 an hour, which if you would reference that to what their GDP is $3 an hour or $3 a day a solid minimum wage or solid wage compensation for these people? That if you look at if $2 a week is what they're making, and you're paying them $3 a week. Now, if you can get real confusing if you try to reference then to our culture, and
you mean compare it?
Well, you reference it to us saying, well, if they're making that, that's ridiculous. The shoes are $120. Well, the problem is nobody in some of these countries are going to spend $120 on these shoes, but they can make it there. So, you can run the economic numbers, you can look at the social, the morality of the business, but a lot of these companies are controlled locally in these countries, and then that's where the rub comes.
Locally there.
Yeah, locally there. Now, we can say, no, as you said to your person, I don't want these widgets produced at this price, I will go somewhere else. And then it becomes a worldwide bargaining chip for who can produce your widgets.
With your production criteria answered. Yeah, and honestly, I think what you say is noteworthy, and I think what we're doing is we're really, I scan the headlines across what are the remarks about global free enterprise and so on, but I'm glad today we're going to fill in the blanks and get the rest of the story, and I think that is important. I had mentioned on that show that I had a shirt that was probably imported. It was a chap shirt. I did look at the label later. It was made in Mexico. So, again, probably certainly possibly guilty of either the same thing or, you really have to look deep into your own life if you want to find yourself immune to some of the ills that you're trying to fix globally.
You might have been guilty of helping that person who produced those shirts.
Right, well, definitely was.
So
yeah.
But I'll tell you an interesting
wage,
person you can talk to about this in a company locally who has to deal in this arena is the folks over at Sunbury Textile. And Hank Truslow can give you details on when you talk about imports and exports and producing overseas compared to here. And it is not a hurdle. It is a jigsaw puzzle to try to get through. And I think and I'm going to paraphrase him when he was talking to, I believe it was the Reagan administration or the H.W. Bush group, when they wanted to say, we have to produce X amount overseas to help these countries. And the back end of it was, well, if they're producing that much overseas, there's no percentages for us to produce here. So when you get into imports and exports and you get into, particularly in the textile industry, but some of the people talk about steel and some of these goods, it's very interesting and complicated and convoluted to degrees that people can't understand it. But if you break it down simple to a point that, does it make sense for us to make it here, or does it make sense for us to import it on the basic economic terms, then you can start a discussion. But Mark, I think it's like our Fed tax system, our import and exports and our tariffs and everything that goes involved in global trade is even far more confusing, I believe, than our IRS tax code.
All right, well, we're back into the same discussion, but at a higher level today. Not just rumors. We're injecting some facts into our discussion thanks to the research that Ben has done over the weekend, and even I boned up a little bit on it.
I was going to say, I'm sure you had some people sending you some emails and
yes,
getting you some information.
I told Ben earlier, no, I didn't study this at all. But, yes, in fact, we both looked into this a little bit more over the weekend. But we'd love to continue the discussion, but you have to be interested in 1-800-795-9565 is the Groninger Insurance toll-free line. We're really, Walmart was where we started, but we've gone far beyond that. We're really talking about global trade, labor standards, and what is your personal interest in this? Joe McGranahan summed it up quite nicely on Thursday last week when he said companies do have a morality in the kind of decisions they make. Remember, we've decided, thanks to the courts recognizing it, not imposing it, but recognizing that corporations are people. They're made up of people and they're run by people, so they're people too. So therefore, people have morals and standards and values, so corporations do too. So we're going to continue this conversation. Invite you to weigh in on it. Groninger Insurance toll-free line, 1-800-795-9565. That's 1-800-795-9565. The Lenape Solar email in basket is open. Email us at onthemark@WKOK.com. And our main sponsor is the Sunbury Motor Company.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Penn State football training camp is underway, and it's media day. We'll hear James Franklin's press conference and coordinators Bob Shoop and John Donovan, their press conferences today, 3 to 5, News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Welcome back to WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. Very, very glad to see you on the radio, and thank you so much for joining us on the mark. WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show is our name, and we're really talking about this global business topic again. And so we invite you to contact us. We read letters in the order in which they arose. One of them says, Walmart admits that it's a welfare queen. This is from March of this year in Walmart's annual report. This says Than, and then the quote is here from Walmart's annual report issued late last week, puts a different spin on things. Buried within the long list of risk factors disclosed to its shareholders, that is, factors outside our control that could materially affect financial performance. These are changes in the amount of payments made under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Plan and other public assistance plans, and changes in the eligibility requirements of public assistance plans. Well, this is true, but the reference, I want to add a little perspective here. This is in reference to the people who shop at Walmart, not the people who work there. Okay.
Well, yeah, and what that is, and most companies do this. Sunbury Broadcasting, I'm sure, goes through this, and other companies. What you'll do is if you're looking to grow, even probably quarterly, yearly, your 3 to 5 year strategic plan is you do a SWOT analysis, and you look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And here in Walmart, but that could be, I'm going to say, Wise Markets, Giant. That could be that portion there we're looking at could go into a lot of retailers, maybe all retailers, because if things change, it would change disposable income. And it could, all of a sudden, if we got up to employment, we took the 92 million, and maybe half of those folks found jobs, and we got unemployment down to 4.5%. This would reverse, and this would change, because then they would have disposable income and not just government income. But there is real interest when you look at how businesses run and what they have to do to keep running. And SWOT analysis is usually something that you want to take a look at. And what are your strengths? What's your weaknesses? Is there opportunities then to improve your strengths and get your weaknesses up to strengths? But what are the threats? And the threats can be political. Economy. They can be economical. They can be a lot of things.
Changing buying habits.
Right now, Mark, 10 years ago, businesses looked at it, and what was the big pipeline coming 10 years ago? It was the baby boomers. And even 20 years ago, and you look at places like down in Florida, the villages, those folks said, okay, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to want to retire to Florida. Florida has good tax reasons to retire. Your pensions you can pass more on, or you can either spend more or pass more on to whoever you want to. But they formed this community just north of Orlando, right off of Interstate 75, and it's been a success plus. And that was forward thinking. Developers said, listen, let's build a community for retirees, and let's have all the amenities that they want. We'll have Arnold Palmer and Nancy Lopez stand on the golf course, and Mark, you can come golf. And someday you and Kevin Hur can stand there in sandals and socks.
Is that Jennifer Lopez's mom?
No, it's not. And do a shuffleboard. I mean, I like a picture of you and Mark in your sandals and socks with shuffleboard. But no, you look at that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, man.
No, you look at that demographics, and you look at that business. And 20, 25 years ago, they jumped on that.
Because somebody said all the situations are going to change. Somebody with a little foresight said, be ready for this. So one of our listeners who had sent us a couple notes on Friday said, thanks to Ben. Ben Reichley has a business head on his shoulder and makes a lot of common sense. Discussions of this type, such as Walmart, probably would best not happen. The facts, as you reported, may be in books. However, who's to say it's not fiction? It's unfair when actually all the stores are buying products from other countries. Gee whiz, I bought a high-end Electrolux double oven stove from Lowe's. Guess where that was made? Mexico. Wonder where my Samsung four-door fridge was made. I venture to guess if I went through my closet and checked all the labels, I'd be hard-pressed to find made in USA. I don't mean to offend or come unstrung, but I do mean it when I say what you're saying is really unfair. I don't work at Walmart, or do I own stock in the country? And she's talking to me, I should say, not to Ben. I was just pointing out that a little more diplomacy would be the little emoticon in the background blocks out what you said there. Oh, it blinked, and then you could see the same material as on a shirt at Walmart. Oops, that's the old email.
But she's going to see you soon.
Right.
Saw you Sunday, probably, right?
No, I was at a different church. I don't work at Walmart, nor do I own stock in the company. I was pointing out that a little more diplomacy in what was said would be a better choice. Yes, boy, did I get chastised on that.
You look at
Thank you.
You look at Mexico, and you look at trade agreement, and you look at NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, and some things were very positive on that, and some things were negative from a standpoint. But it was supposed to raise the economies and the rates of income in Mexico, and I guess the jury's still out. But you would think after roughly coming up on 20 years, you'd have a better benchmark of the Mexican economy, and it would be far better.
One thing to note is Walmart does a lot in grants, too. Over $1 billion worldwide have they given in money and contributions, in-kind contributions, I should say, in grants, including local 501c3s. And that doesn't include, like, Children's Miracle Network, United Way, American Diabetes, those sort of organizations. These are like local-run organizations where you can apply for anywhere from $250 to $2,500.
Well,
I'm sure they have a diabolical reason for doing so.
Are you talking about
tax break or something?
Are you talking about Ulysses?
Well, I'm sure there is a tax break. I mean,
are you talking about Ulysses S. grants they're giving away?
It could be. It could be.
Where is he buried?
How many Walmarts have you been at where you walk in and they're selling cookies, or I know it's the band, the midget football. The whole groups are out there competing with products to a degree, but again, there's positives and there's things that might be negative, and it depends on what your perspective is. But one thing is, if you look at the history of dry goods in this country. And I was just watching a show over the weekend on AMC. It's Hell on Wheels. I think it just started last night, but they were running the reruns. And you look at these mining towns, or you look at these railroad towns that pop up because they had to be there. And then you look at the general stores. Then the general stores became more specific and then specialized. And you'll remember at one time downtown Selinsgrove had it. I'm sure Lewisburg, but Sunbury. You look at the Woolworths and the Newberries, and what happened to them. Then they, the evolution of business, and Walmart is part of it. In 50 years, there might not be a Walmart. There's one interesting part about a company like Walmart. They are going into the urban areas in the smaller, slender, leaner stores. So again, how do you keep your brand, how do you keep your company alive, and how do you compete with the demographics and the buying initiatives that people are going to have, especially now the millennials?
A good example of a box-style store is Grant's. They don't exist anymore.
Right. They were in downtown boxes. 1-800-795-9565, Groninger Insurance toll-free line. Feel free to call it after 9:06. Lenape Solar email inbasket on the market, WKOK.com. Sunbury Motor Company, our main sponsor on WKOK Sunbury.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedipani. They're still handing out bottled water in Toledo.
The need is there. We're not going to turn people away. They're our neighbors, so we got to take care of each other.
A ban on drinking or washing with tap water has been enforced since Saturday when officials found high levels of toxins in water from Lake Erie. Overnight, Mayor Michael Collins said the water quality seemed to be improving.
The mayor said that most of the results did come back positive, that the water was safe. However, 2 of the tests came back a little too close to comfort for him, so he is maintaining the ban on drinking water here in Toledo. Water distribution centers opened at 8 a.m., and people are lining up and walking over with buckets to get fresh water.
CBS's Adriana Diaz tells us the mayor is expected to have more to say within the hour. A ceasefire in Gaza is scheduled to run out about an hour from now. CBS's Cammie McCormick has the latest on that from Tel Aviv.
The ceasefire has lasted 6 hours without any widespread violence, even though there have been charges from both sides of violations. The lull has allowed humanitarian aid to flow into Gaza, and hundreds of thousands of Palestinians to return to their homes and stock up on supplies. Israel appears to be winding down its offensive, and there's hope this ceasefire could be extended. Still, Israel has warned if the truce is breached, it will return fire.
The government doesn't seem inclined to allow cell phone calls in flight. Live to CBS News correspondent Vicki Barker.
The Department of Transportation is reportedly moving closer to proposing a ban on voice calls, though the Wall Street Journal reports texting and data downloads apparently would continue to be allowed. Transportation officials believe believe crews and passengers alike are overwhelmingly opposed to in-flight voice calls. This, even though the FCC believes there's no longer any danger that your cell phone can interfere with a plane's operating system. Frank?
As much as California needs rain to break a record drought, it didn't need the deluge that swamped the San Bernardino Mountains over the weekend, unleashing floods and mudslides that killed a motorist and trapped 2,000 people behind roads covered with mud and debris. In southern China, where a powerful earthquake has killed close to 400 people, search teams are struggling to reach those who may have been buried alive.
More than 3,000 troops and emergency workers are taking part in a massive rescue effort, carrying survivors on their backs, even using makeshift stretchers with IV bags hanging from sticks.
CBS's Seth Doan in Beijing. That quake has leveled 12,000 homes. A second American missionary who contracted Ebola in West Africa is expected to fly home tomorrow. CBS's Vicente Arenas tells us she'll join Dr. Kent Brantley in the isolation unit of an Atlanta hospital.
Nancy Wright-Bolt will arrive at Dobbins Air Reserve Base in Marietta, Georgia, in a specialized plane that has a tent-like device that keeps the Ebola quarantined and keeps the medical workers safe. She'll then be brought to Emory University Hospital, 20 miles from the airport. She'll be in a special ambulance that is also designed to carry people with dangerous communicable diseases.
S&P futures are up 5 points. This is CBS News.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-319-MY-TV. That's 877-319-MY-TV.
If you've always wanted your teeth professionally whitened by a dentist but haven't had the time or money, listen to this. National Dental Supply is now giving listeners of this station a complete Pro Gel teeth whitening kit as a free sample. This Pro Gel kit includes everything you need to get a dramatically whiter smile in just minutes without visiting the dentist. This free sample offer expires immediately when the samples are gone, so don't wait. Call now. 800-399-8234. 800-399-8234. 800-399-8234.
An abortion law that's scheduled to take effect in Texas next month is facing a federal court challenge. CBS's Chris Fox has the story.
The suit goes after the requirement that abortion clinics in Texas meet the standards of ambulatory surgical centers, forcing them to convert to almost mini hospitals in order to stay open.
We are planning to put forward witnesses who are medical experts, physicians, researchers, public health experts. They're going to talk about why this is completely unnecessary and it does nothing to improve the safety of women.
That's Isha Bhandari of the Center for Reproductive Rights, part of the legal team arguing the case. The suit also attempts to block an earlier provision of the law forcing abortion doctors to have admitting rights to nearby hospitals.
Supporters say that law will protect women by setting quality control standards for abortion clinics. An Alabama abortion law similar to the one in Texas is the subject of a federal suit filed in Montgomery. A federal judge was expected to hand down a ruling in that case today. Frank Setapani, CBS News.
Last year, more than 3 million people got the works at their Ford dealer. What's the works? Well, when you ask for it at your Ford dealer, it means getting all the services your vehicle needs to keep it running right and saving at the pump. It's a synthetic blend oil change, not just regular oil. It means getting your brakes checked and tires rotated. It's a multi-point inspection, battery check, and fluid top-off. It also means getting your vehicle checked out by a certified and factory-trained Ford expert to make sure your vehicle is ready for the road ahead. Yeah, the works is a whole lot more than just an oil change. The best part, for a limited time, it also means saving a lot of money on all these services and more.
Right now, get the works for $39.95 or less minus a $10 mail-in rebate, making it just $29.95. Only at your Ford dealer.
Ford. Go further.
Up to 5 quarts oil. Taxes, diesel, and disposal fees extra. Rebate by prepaid debit card. Exclusions apply. See participating Ford dealer for rebate details through 8/31/14.
Newsradio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Mark Lawrence and Ben Reichley.
Thank you very much for joining us. Second hour of On the Mark, 4th day of August, 2014. My Groninger calendar says something. Oh, it's a civic holiday in Canada of all things. Okay. So if you go up there, the toll taker and or the checker of all of your credentials and passport and so on will be enjoying overtime today. It's a civic holiday in Canada. All right, the webcam is up and running. Kevin Herr is the man who makes it work well. He posts really slick graphics at the bottom of it, switches the commercials, makes the image clear, adjusts the camera angle, and really just does everything. Cuts off the bottom of my jowls when I'm talking. And that is Kevin Herr. He makes the webcam work well. Kevin is the engineer, greatest engineer the planet has ever known, has won more awards than anyone else in the adjoining studio. And so we're glad. Lots of those for play-by-play, which he'll be doing a lot more of in the months ahead. He'll be making cameo appearances as a Shikellamy football play-by-play announcer this year. And he is our engineer. Ben Reichley is the ultra-smart, fact-filled, facts only, please. I rely on rumors, but Ben is the facts man, and he's on the other side of the table, figuratively and politically, and he is our co-host here today, a businessman, Republican elected committee person. Nobody gets to that Republican committee but through voting, and the proper number of Republican voters have said, we want Ben, we want Ben. So, and that worked. Lenape Solar email in basket is open. Email on the mark at WKOK.com. We'll read your email on the radio. Lenape Solar, fastest growing solar company in the Valley. Why? Well, it's because of their three foci. One is the commercial lighting audits that are keeping them very busy these days, where they, I don't know if it's in the guarantee, but they will save, I guarantee it, they'll save you $1 on your commercial lighting. They'll tell you that tungsten bulbs are out. Even fluorescence might not be ideal. LED is in, yes. Higher pay up in the beginning, but longer savings in the long run.
You do get some tax initiatives to do that potentially, and you do get a write-up, but and being involved in 6 buildings, 3 buildings, 7, amazing what you can do and what you can save in initial upfront costs, but get your illumination where it should be and pay less, and you're better off, particularly now with the technology.
Very illuminating, Ben. Thank you. That's a very bright idea that you're talking about. Ben Reichley, of course, a businessman at heart, so we appreciate that added. LenapeSolar.com is all we need to say additionally about that. On the Mark, brought to you by the Sunbury Motor Company, family-owned dealership since 1915, 4th Street, Sunbury, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. They'd invite you to do what I saw a lot of folks doing yesterday, walking amongst the new cars and the used cars to see which one might be ideal for you. And I saw one person looking at the side of a used truck and then on the smartphone looking up some additional details that might be posted at sunburymotors.com, maybe in anticipation of a purchase today. So they invite you to do that. You can do that on Sunday or just go on a weekday, and then every question will be answered immediately by some of their helpful staff. The men and the women who are the salespeople at Sunbury Motor Company would love to meet and greet you. sunburymotors.com. And the Groninger Insurance toll-free line is open. Groninger Insurance itself, a full-service agency meeting all of your insurance needs, including home, auto, business, flood, liability, life, and other types of insurance. One-day insurance for fairs and festivals, also available at Groningerinsurance.com. We know this from Sunbury River Festival, where folks need insurance these days. You can't come to the festival without insurance. And subsequently, they've been selling some folks these one-day policies, very reasonable. I'm not going to disclose the price because it's different for everybody, but suffice to say it's affordable. It is an amount of money that you hope to make back at a place like a Sunbury River Festival or a Pine Knot Day. So Groningerinsurance.com, if that becomes a brought-up topic at your household. We do have some news headlines. Then we have 3 emails pending. Milton State Troopers say they're investigating a death that happened in Northumberland County. Not too many details out yet. 20-year-old Devin Hoy of Turbotville found dead early Sunday morning at a home along Main Street in Turbotville. Police say they'll have some more information out soon. Devin Hoy of Turbotville, the persons whose death being investigated there. No adjective listed such as suspicious or natural or suicide or anything related to that, just that a death investigation is underway. In Harrisburg, the mother of an 8-year-old Pennsylvania boy whose body was found on the 3rd floor of their house says she didn't know he had died until noticing the smell. Kimberly Tutko tells Patriot News her husband was the primary caretaker of their mentally disabled son. She says Jared Tutko waited several days to tell her the boy had died. Police charged Jared Tutko Saturday with child endangerment, concealing the death of a child, and abuse of a corpse. Harrisburg police say informed his wife about the child's death when the odor of decomposition became too strong. It's not clear how the boy died. An autopsy is scheduled. The couple's 5 other children have been placed in protective custody. Boy, just a strange story out of Harrisburg. Unbelievable. And a Schuylkill County connection, and I saw that on TV today. And a Central Pennsylvania's library plan to start a seed library has died on the vine after State Department of Agriculture regulators put a stop to it. The Cumberland County Library System had been working with the Cumberland County Commission for Women on a new seed gardening initiative that would allow residents to take seeds and replace them with new ones harvested at the end of the season. Similar efforts have cropped up around the state, so to speak, but the library was later told by agriculture officials that it's in violation of a 2004 state law against trading untested seeds unless the library staff check each one for germination and other contamination. The library system's executive director, Joel Durr, says that it's clearly beyond the library's mission to check some things, so they're going to stop the seed exchange at the library after the agriculture department says all seeds have to be checked from now on. Planting the seeds of discord, the State Department of Agriculture, taking the fun out of agriculture.
Well, their point is that, make sure the seeds are proper and not possibly damaging to...
They need an exemption for small operations is what they need. Yeah.
That's true, and you look at... the elm disease that took the elm trees out. You look at certain things, and sometimes they might be overprotective, but a small operation like that, you would think there'd be some exemptions, just like small games and chances for the local nonprofits and the fire companies to raise a little money.
Okay.
And have their members visit more often.
Right, absolutely. 1-800-795-9565, small games of chance, a big topic locally. We do have a couple of emails pending that relate to our discussion about Walmart and global topics, so we'll wrap up this discussion and move on to another topic. One of our emailers says, stick it to the taxpayers, does not have anything to do with global trade or Walmart, so we'll read that at the onset of a new segment of the show at about 9:20 or so. But on the topic of Walmart and underpaying workers, which was my observation. One of our listeners, third smartest woman in the world, and the woman least likely to be invited to Kevin's picnic. It is Caitlin who sends us a note saying, Kevin's putting his headphones on.
I don't have a picnic.
No, there
anyway.
is no picnic. Okay, so, sorry. He says, or she says, raising the minimum wage will save United States $4.6 billion on food stamps because taxpayers will no longer need to subsidize many workers, says the Center for American Progress. Raising the minimum wage will save the United States $4.6 billion on food stamps.
It'll be interesting to see the equation and how that comes out. I mean, technically, maybe on paper it would look like that. In reality of it, you tell me what government program has scaled itself back based on success, and it'd be hard to find.
Put itself out of business.
Yes, but so I don't think food stamps are going away, and the increase now has it doubled in this administration? Is it 48 million people on food stamps? And what is the criteria then to meet food stamps? And even if the minimum wage was raised to some number, it's the criteria of food stamps. How do you meet it, or would they change it? Would they lower it? So it'd be interesting to see what equation what Center for Progress, was that what that one was?
Right. We should raise the minimum wage was the premise for that. So, of course, we've had that discussion many times here, and we know that raising the minimum wage is probably the single most misunderstood economic discussion that takes place. Of course, I think to myself, okay, well, we should raise the minimum wage, then people who earn the minimum wage would have more money. And, of course, then the other 95 spokes of the wagon wheel all change accordingly, and the wheel goes out of balance.
Well, again, minimum wage, any compensation you receive is based on your skill level to a degree. It could be based on your skill level and seniority. It could be based on loyalty and your skill level and seniority. There's different ways, but look at it this way, Mark. If you could throw a football, or no, let's say if you could throw a baseball, at 88, 90, and 95 miles per hour, and nobody knew which one you were throwing, you would probably be paid $15 million plus a year. Now, if you could do that for a long time, you're going to make a lot of money. If you had the attributes of, let's say, Cary Grant and Rock Hudson and Mel Gibson and whatever.
I am strikingly handsome,
yeah,
so I have that much.
You could get $15 to $20 million to be in movies. So the skill levels and the market somewhat dictate. Now, if you had all these attributes and you could throw a baseball or you could act, but you said, no, I'm going to live in Northumberland County, then your occupant, you become less desirable because you won't leave Northumberland County. So you look at skills, you look at geography, you look at opportunity, educate, you put things into that equation, and then you have the market, and are you marketable?
All right, so supply and demand, and if you're not in demand, you only get the minimum wage, as they say.
And you can create your demand.
Presumably. I'm not sure everybody has sort of the same skills that you and I have to create demand for ourselves. But in any event, let's see. One of our listeners sends us a note. Rob says, so Ben thinks I should be grateful to Walmart for giving me $8.25 an hour for 30 hours a week after I lost my good-paying full-time job with benefits at a local manufacturer because it closed, because Walmart can buy similar inferior products from China for a few cents less. Okay, thank you, Walmart, for making things so bad that I'm grateful for any scraps that you throw me, says Rob.
Well, if Walmart is buying the product, Target, Kmart, these other companies are buying the product. So it's not Walmart per se, it's the marketplace.
It's the big boxes.
So, well, not big box, but even smaller stores buy.
Smaller boxes.
But what about the local manufacturer? I'm going to, was it in the mill industry or, what industry was it in? And you want to look at the retailers and to point the fingers, but look at the policies. And particularly look at NAFTA. Did NAFTA make it better? We talked about Canada. It's not Canadian Day because that's July 1st, I believe.
Holiday.
It's a holiday up there. But look at the Canadian dollar compared to the U.S. dollar in the last 10 years. Look at the buses that are just coming out in the license plates that say Ontario and Grove City. Grove City is a huge outlet mall that come down. The Canadians are coming this way. 20, 25, 30 years ago, it used to be reversed. And NAFTA's probably had a lot of positive effects for the Canadians, obviously. Has it been positive for the U.S., and has it been positive for Mexico?
Good question. All right. Thank you, Rob, for the email. And barring any more calls, we'll change topics. So one of our listeners is talking about taxpayer-funded. Any more words about this whole discussion? I know you had
one thing that we talked about Friday was within Walmart, what was their percentages of people who were paid minimum wage, and that percentage, it looks like, is less than 1%, right around 1% is being paid minimum wage, and that's coming from the Huffington Post. And this interview must have been before Maria Bartolomeo left CNBC and went to the Fox Business News. But you look at 725, and then you look at the compensation. Now, compared to other organizations, Walmart's if people are working there compared to working at Target, compared to working at McDonald's, but what skill levels? And unfortunately, we had an emailer who, folks lost their jobs that are hired skilled, but then there's not the jobs here. Now, do you move to North Dakota? Do you move to Texas? Do you move to Florida? And again, geography can be a bigger part of the equation.
All right, 1-800-795-9565, 9:20 in the morning. We're on an open phones Monday. We're going to lock the door on Walmart, something that really doesn't happen around here. Are they 24/7? The local stores?
I believe.
Except Christmas Day.
What is it? Wise Market's 24/7 in a lot of stores.
I wonder why they close on
all
Christmas. They must have a moral compass that says it's a big holiday or something. 1-800-795-9565. We launch into open phones with a new topic. One of our listeners says, sticking it to the taxpayers relates to tax breaks for downtown stadia. So we will talk about that in a moment. But you are listening to On the Mark, WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. I'm Mark Lawrence, Ben Reichley, the co-host. Kevin Herr, the greatest engineer the planet has ever seen. Hit a video switcher in the world. The webcam is running. The Groninger Insurance toll-free line is open, 1-800-795-9565. Lenape Solar email in basket open, email on the market at WKOK.com, and our main sponsor is the Sunbury Motor Company.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
This is Justin Charles from Lenape Solar. Did you know we use exclusive manufacturing partners? Our solar modules are made with American components in an American factory by an American company in Milwaukee. Our lighting fixtures are made less than 3 hours away in Philadelphia. Even our fluorescent lamps are made here in the U.S., as are our solar racking systems. We're dedicated not just to quality, but our local economy. Find out more by calling 286-1496, online at lenapesolar.com, or drop by our showroom at 140 South 2nd Street, Sunbury, and see these products in person.
Now is the time to go to your Kubota dealer and get a brand new Kubota M-Series tractor during Kubota's Gear Up and Go sales event. If you're thinking about a rugged utility tractor and the year-round comfort of a Grand X-Cab, then a new Kubota has your name on it. With a smooth-running diesel engine and IntelliShift transmission, your Kubota dealer is the place to start. Right now, get your own Kubota M-Series tractor for 0 down and 0% financing for up to 60 months. So for a great deal, think orange at the Kubota Gear Up and Go sales event. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to Kubota.com.
0 down, 0% APR financing for terms up to 60 months on selected equipment now through September 30th, 2014. Not available for rental national accounts or government customers. 0% APR low rate financing not available with instant rebate offers. Financing available through Kubota Credit Corporation USA subject to credit approval. Other exceptions may apply. For more information, call toll-free 1-888-465-8268.
You know you're not supposed to drink and drive. You know you shouldn't talk on the phone, and worse yet, text and drive. But for some reason, you still do it. Are you impressing your friends? Maybe you just think you're being cool. But if you do get into a deadly accident, you impress no one when you're dead. Say no to distracted driving. Bet you your family and friends will think you're cool.
This message brought to you by the stations of Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation, including Newsradio 1070 WKOK and Sealands Grove Ford, proud supporters of Susquehanna Smart Drive.
Thank you very much, sir. Appropriate bumper music, since Kevin is wearing a football jersey in the next room. Yeah, it doesn't, not very becoming for our staff meeting shortly thereafter, but during On the Mark when he talks football.
No, Ben is right. Our football season happened last night, so it's only right.
Kevin, you are going to take your football helmet off for the meeting, right?
Yes.
It prevents me from being concussed in the meeting and falling asleep and hitting my head on the table.
Oh, they aren't that bad. He only says that because I'm the convener of the meeting, and he takes his tablet. He's the only person in the meeting that he sets up his phone with this little pocket clip that props it up so it faces him, you know, so it's like an easel. And his phone, he taps on that, and he brings another tablet. So while we're discussing important related topics,
I'm actually being efficient. That's
right,
what's actually happening.
He's doing other tasks.
Well, hold on. What about the folks I've sat in meetings where people in the meetings are having meetings within the meetings?
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, that happens. Yeah. Yeah. With modern technology. Yeah. Why waste your time with the people that are actually dedicating some of their time to you when you can you can be selfish and get your own work done?
Years ago, somebody told me all these things would make my life easier and give me more free time to do what I want to do. And it seems to me that when I'm on my, quote, free time...
the wireless tether keeps tugging.
Exactly.
No, come on, Kevin. The hamster wheel of life just turns faster and faster. You have to keep up.
All right, 1-800-795-9565. We launch into 100% open phones. One of our listeners sends us a note. It does not appear to be signed, but it says, subject is sticking it to the taxpayers. And this is about using tax dollars to support professional sports teams. It says taxpayers are on the hook for $1 million more for the Consol Energy Center lease, which I am now told, thanks to Kevin and Ben, is the Pittsburgh Penguins downtown stadium in Pittsburgh. And it says, speaking of sticking it to the beleaguered taxpayers for costly sports facilities, here's a clipping from the Tribune of Pittsburgh. Quote, taxpayers will pay almost $1 million more for the Consol Energy Center lease to the Pittsburgh Penguins as part of a budget-related bill the Senate approved Tuesday and sent to Governor Tom Corbett for a signature or veto. A 2007 arena deal received state backing as part of a 30-year package to keep the National Hockey League team in Pittsburgh with an uptown stadium. That's the hip way to say downtown, incidentally. Under a deal brokered by ex-Governor Ed Rendell, a number of public and private entities agreed to pay the lease held by the City-County Sports and Exhibition Authority. Corbett's press secretary said the state must pay $5.6 million over the next 5 years, $946,000 more than anticipated in 2007. State taxpayers must absorb the increase because of a shortfall resulting from 2 downgrades of the bond insurer's credit rating and an increase in the variable interest rate, he said. JPEG.
Well, that's what happens when interest rates rise and fall. It'll affect particularly municipal bonds and this point here. But now, if it would have reversed, would the estate get a windfall?
1-800-795-9565. What's your view on this? This is probably one of those areas where you really have to look at it. You know, is this a taxpayer? Is it worth it? Because, you know, there's two sides that's going. One, it's $5.6 million in taxpayer dollars that disappear into one team's stadium. But on the other hand, gazillions of dollars are generated by the Penguins, and the parking and the people and the food and the dental bills for the team and everything else. So,
but why were the bonds downgraded? And not just once, but looks like twice.
I don't know. Maybe because of Pennsylvania's downgrade. You know, as Pennsylvania's Ed Rendell put us so far in the hole, all of our revenue doesn't meet expenses anymore, so therefore our bonds are not as valuable. That could be a reason. Maybe just the glum economy at the time, trying to let a bond in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010 would have been tough.
Also,
they should put a statue of me up on their mantle.
Well, they're not going to for this.
But also, too, this was a variable interest rate bond instead of a fixed rate bond, and you bet on the come if interest rates are going to go where you want. You want a fixed rate or you want a variable rate.
But the point of the letter is, are taxpayer dollars well spent to support a particular team? And I in many cases, my initial reaction is no. But on the other hand, you have to start to think about, well, there's economic development that follows the team, even though it's somewhat contrived. I mean, you start a team, and then, which comes first, the taxpayer support or the start of an imaginative team or imagination team? We sort of make up a team, and then suddenly it becomes something to go see. Well, I'd love people's viewpoints on this. Is it worth it to use taxpayer dollars to support public stadia? Kevin, what's your view on this? You go to a stadium occasionally that school taxpayer dollars have helped to fund the Shikellamy Braves Stadium.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think part of it has to be the sales tax that's generated from, when you're looking at the professional stadium first in Pittsburgh, you have a sales tax that's generated. You usually have an entertainment tax in that city, depending on how the city does its local taxes. Plus you have a tax on all the food that's being consumed, all the items that are being sold there. So I think there is some argument to be made that money does end up coming back to the state or locality. You're talking about a high school stadium, which I think is a little bit different animal, because I think that's all part of the education process there.
Okay, what's your view on this? Worth it?
Pros and cons. Do the Ben Franklin, put pros on left side, cons on the right, and go down through. I think we see where sports fans, and now this is a civic center. This isn't just for the hockey team only. This is for
there's concerts, ice events there.
Yeah. They're
I think it's even open. I think it's even open sometimes for public use.
Yeah,
although I'm not 100% sure.
There was a big concern when Sesame Street on Ice was there, and Kevin was the only person up in the luxury box by himself enjoying that. But at least the luxury box got used.
Elmo says I can ski.
But the other part also, too, I understand the Penguins are building a pretty big practice facility up in Cranberry Township, just north. But when investments like this are made, economic investments are made, where is the final benchmark and results? When I say, do you ever get a final on certain ones? But when you see New York State on a big promo to give away 10 years of tax-free to businesses that will relocate. So when they build stadiums, when they build arenas, where are the pros and where are the cons? But on this one too, it'd be interesting to see why the credit rating was downgraded. Because if it wasn't downgraded, then of course the taxpayers wouldn't be on the hook here. But this is going to be debated, and here the Senate, and this was under the Rendell administration. But keeping the sports team and having that facility in Pittsburgh, people made the judgment that it was going to be far better to have the Penguins anchored there with all the other supplemental that go with them than not.
Well, and I didn't know the name of the Consol Energy Center, but my lovely bride are part of the Marriott Hotel Club thingamabobler, and no sooner had the center been finished, but they sent us notices, if you'd like to stay for one night free at the Marriott. If you book another night, you stay one night free. We'll get you tickets to the Penguins, and you can go there. And if it's off season, I guess then you can skate there yourself. But
but what are the other?
So there's hotel stays that are generated by the team.
Intangibles that go on. They have again, I'm not a big casino person from a standpoint that if you start economic development based on vices, you better have a number of vices to fill in when those vices recycle
so hockey's
themselves.
A vice?
No, the gambling. And, But the hotel. So again, this is all part of an economic and uptown downtown equation that they felt the center would. And they did tear the igloo down, the old center down, which was probably old and tired. Time will tell. And Pittsburgh has revived itself to a certain degree. I mean, you see growth out there. There's some high tech, great institutions, higher education out there. They do have a problem within their public schools, not unlike a lot of urban areas. But you see Pittsburgh being far more positive in its potential and its growth in the last 20 years than a lot of cities. I mean, it's certainly you look at the attitude towards social and extracurricular activities, the sports side. It's certainly a city with just a big sports personality.
And tonight you can see Miley Cyrus. So there you have it.
Oh, at the Consol Energy Center. Well, that would be interesting.
Are you going to be alone in the box?
I don't know. There's still tickets available by the looks of it. So I'd rather see Fleetwood Mac coming up in October.
Well, how was the Sesame Street on Ice?
I saw it years ago down at the Really Big Center in Hershey.
Okay, 1-800-795-9565. We appreciate. I'm sending Kevin a note so he can enjoy the concert tonight.
Love notes.
1-800-795-9565.
Not love notes. I love notes.
I know what you
better clarify that in case you were confused.
This relates to that.
Speaking of love notes, do you think former Speaker Pelosi is sending a love note to Congressman Marino?
I don't know. She came running across the floor.
Yeah, what's
to
the
talk
background
to him.
on that?
In heels. I mean, she was striding.
Can you get a hold of Tom Marino and have him call on Friday? Now, I'm not going to be here Friday. It's going to be you and Than. So tell him that he won't have old Lawrence to kick around. Can you have Tom call us and tell us what happened?
We'll see what we can do.
Don't forget.
Actually, I might be able to find that video for you.
No,
the
video.
Or at least the audio from the video.
Congressman Marino was speaking about immigration and the lack of. But I think the overall premise was politicizing immigration, and his reference was back to 2009 and 2010 when Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they didn't do anything on the immigration. And now we have this crisis, and who's politicizing it? And the point he was making was this could have been taken care of, and you can follow the bills and what was introduced. And then Nancy Pelosi became unhinged and came running across, which is rare. It was almost a British Commons type of. I mean, if you would have had the Monty Python characters in the background, it would have been great theater. And
she had the soft cushion. She was going to whack him.
Well, yeah. Well, if she would have had a ruler, she would have been probably smacking him over his knuckles. But I guess she made some comments, and one of them seems to be that he was an insignificant person, and unfortunately, you see the discourse in the House of Representatives.
Speaker, and under the leadership of their former leader, when in 2009 and 2010, they had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they knew this problem existed. They didn't have the strength to go after it back then, but now we're trying to make a political issue out of it now. What we need to do is pass this legislation, make sure that these children get back to their families, and we need to line up and protect this border from people coming across.
Gentleman will continue.
Yes, it is true. I did the research on it. You might want to try it. You might want to try it, Madam Leader. Do the research on it. Do the research. I did it. That's one thing that you don't do.
Gentleman will address his comments to the Speaker.
It works both ways, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman will continue. The gentleman.
And then after he was done, she actually went over and started pointing a finger at him and said something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was right out of the House of Commons. She jumped up, and that's, the discourse and.
Should we go to more of a House of Commons type format?
No, yeah, good luck.
Well, that would be C-SPAN entertainment right there.
I would like
numbers would increase tenfold on C-SPAN.
Yeah, forget about your 401k, Kevin. We'll just buy C-SPAN. if they had that parliamentary format, oh my gosh, that would put TMZ out of business. Maybe reality TV would be every time the House or the Senate was in session.
That actually might even be a pay-per-view event.
Right. 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number. We'll take a quick break. We'll continue referring to the cowboy who is Tom Marino in Washington, D.C. If you want to have offer a remark about that, we would love to hear from you. 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number. A Lenape Solar email in basket populated by notes sent to On the Mark at WKOK.com, and we'll be right back.
Here's a bright idea. Why not use light to carry billions of bits of data per second, making network connections hundreds of times faster and much more reliable? That's just what Penn Teledata's fiber optic network does. And we've invested in over 9,000 miles throughout our communities, connecting schools, banks, healthcare networks, and even wireless towers that enable your smartphone to be, well, smart. Know what else is smart? Connecting your business to our fiber network. See the light with Penn Teledata, your recommended source of fiber.
Would you trust a blocked artery to a plumber? Then why trust the health of your network to outdated technology? Connect at the speed of light with Penn Teledata's state-of-the-art true fiber optic network, offering the smartest, most reliable data connections to keep operations running stronger than ever before. That's why more doctors and business professionals trust their company to Penn Teledata. When choosing a provider, get a second opinion. You'll be glad you did. Penn Teledata, your recommended source of fiber.
Does your furnace need repair? Your house need cleaning? Or maybe you're ready to update your kitchen? Big or small, whatever your home improvement need, log on to handyman.homeadvisor.com. Home Advisor is a free online resource with instant access to top-rated remodelers, maids, handymen, roofers, and many other home contractors. It's easy and it's free. Just go to handyman.homeadvisor.com. Handyman.homeadvisor.com. That's handyman.homeadvisor.com.
The joint supplements of today are sadly incomplete because they don't give you the joint relief you need. Until now. Introducing the complimentary 2-week sample of Instaflex, our most powerful joint formula ever. It's the #1 selling joint supplement at GNC. Claim your sample today. 1-800-451-6580. Great for your knees, hands, even your hips. Instaflex is available at GNC and Walgreens, where you can only get your complimentary sample by calling 1-800-451-6580. 1-800-451-6580.
News and interviews from your community every morning on WKOK Sunrise.
Just learning some different things to eat before and after exercise, kind of boost your energy level.
I like just getting out there and running. I just really like running.
So a person who has a disability is in a wheelchair. We have a good number of people that we are getting to work every day.
News, sports, AccuWeather, and more every morning on WKOK Sunrise on Newsradio 1070 WKOK and WKOK.com.
Penn State football training camp is underway, and it's media day. We'll hear James Franklin's press conference and coordinators Bob Shoup and John Donovan, their press conferences today, 3 to 5, News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Welcome back to WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. It is entitled On the Mark. I am Mark Lawrence. Very, very, very subpar host of the show. If you've been listening lately, our goal is to irritate you with my rumors that I pass on as facts because I have tremendous credibility and I'm strikingly handsome. People believe anything I say, so whatever I say, you just take it with a grain of salt because I'm probably either making it up or someone else made it up and sent it to me. Across from me is Ben Reichley, who precisely is exactly the opposite. He relies on facts, Associated Press, HuffPo, and other reliable sources for his information tables and graphs, which he places in front of him in a semicircle right next to his tea, which is probably incredibly strong right now after festering the whole hour, but nonetheless.
No blogs from people that are in their T-shirts and jockey shorts and eating Cheetos and drinking Diet Coke while they.
That's my information.
While they get on the blog.
No,
that was mine. That's
yours
you
too.
ought to have, yeah.
Blogging.
Especially when you get their emails and it has that orange tint to it.
Okay. No. Okay, jeez. That is Ben Reichley making light of people who smoke too much pot, and so
eat Cheetos and type on.
Oh, is that what it is? It's Cheetos, not the marijuana smoke. All right, so Ben Reichley.
Sometimes one leads to another, but that's a whole different
so if you
conversation.
eat Cheetos, you want some pot?
I think it's the other way around, but I could be wrong. Not that I know anything about that.
All right. Yeah, Kevin only gets the munchies because he's hungry. It doesn't have anything to do with illegal drugs. And on the other side of the glass is none other than Kevin Herr. He put in 10 years helping to double and redouble the size of River Festival, and then very appropriately just stood aside and is still an emeritus member of the River Festival Committee and is available for an extension court if we need that, but that's about it.
Is that like the line from Godfather 3, once you get out, they pull you back in? Is that what you're trying to tell
we
me?
tug on the 50-foot extension cord that you keep in your vehicle. So, yeah, that's how we get Kevin to help us out as we tether. His wireless tether is actually a bright orange line. And anyway, so I'm Mark Lawrence, Ben Reichley, Mark Lawrence. It's an open phone, so the topic of your selection, anything you'd like to discuss. We have one clipping from Collegeville, Pennsylvania about some boys that broke into a home and made some brownies there. We talked about Tom Marino a moment ago. I suggested that since Tom's not talking to us, maybe he'll talk to him and call the talk show Friday. I will not be here, but Than will be, and because of really, really horrendously poor planning, I won't be here Thursday or Friday. Thursday I'll be just a day off, but Friday I'll be at the Geisinger conference that relates to child abuse, so I'll be out of the building. But Than Mitchell will be here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in my stead. Well, Wednesday's his normal day, but Thursday and Friday in my stead. And so hopefully we would love to hear from you at that time. Let's see, what else? Oh, we were just talking about Tom Marino. He was chased up the aisle by Nancy Pelosi. Finished the story because we heard the soundtrack. We knew that she was on the move, but what happened off camera?
Well, I believe Marino was walking up to his area, his seat, and Pelosi came running across, but you saw the part. She runs across the bottom.
Yeah, I did see
and then
that.
came up the aisle and made comments, and one of them was that he was insignificant, and then it went from there. Now, in this email here, I have not heard this information at all over the last 2 days.
Go ahead and read that.
Well, it says Marino apologized for his misstatement that the Dems did nothing on immigration. Almost all immigration bills have been sunk by the Republicans and the Tea Party. Well, let's look at what's sitting in the Senate right now, and you can see it's a lot of legislation's been sunk by the Senate. And if Ben thinks that the Tea Party is not a problem, just check the problems Boehner's been. You know what?
Read the whole thing. Oh, Boehner is facing. That is the end of it. Okay.
Well, you know what? The part about the Tea Party is people are saying what the group and of course the left and the progressives and especially the media wants to paint the Tea Party as a group that's basically a bunch of guys who go and drink beer and go to NASCAR races and are racist and everything in a light that way. Well, the point about it is
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, if people want to do that, but the groups within parties, bring parties to different levels. And you look at if right now both the Republicans and Democrats have not done what this country has needed since let's look at the
was this
98.
Like a record-breaking, unproductive Congress?
Well,
you get 2 months off.
Based on
paid
what?
Vacation.
Based on what? If the numbers of bills are what you're judged on, not the quality of the bills or not the results
Just
of the
volume.
bills. Yeah, if you're based on volume, good luck. But again, within the parties, the Democrats right now are starting to get their real left group up, looking at Elizabeth Warren possibly as a presidential candidate. The Tea Party, if you want to call the Tea Party that, but it's more the fiscal conservative people that are looking and saying, no, we need to be fiscally conservative. We have a $17 trillion debt. We're not looking to adjust anything that will help that. That's legitimate. I mean, that's a legitimate group saying, and John Boehner should be called up, just like Nancy Pelosi should have been called on the carpet years ago by some of the more conservative Democrats saying, hold it, this isn't going to work. These policies aren't going to work. And when you're the Speaker of the House and you make a comment that you have to pass the bill before you can read it, I mean, American people are now saying, hold it, time out. The media can only sell that for so long.
What was the context of that remark, since it's brought back up?
It was the health care issue.
Right. No, but
it was people were asking what was in it and how this is going to work, and her part was we got to pass it before
so
you know
she had not read it.
No, most of those people didn't read it, and you see what happens. And also, too, people can say health care is working. Nobody knows. It's a work in progress, and we saw the initial part of the rollout. We're seeing now more and more situations are coming up. You have more and more parts of it are in court. You have the President of the United States saying, here's the law, but we're only going to enforce this part, and this part. We'll give waivers for that part. There's more confusion on this Health Care Act than meets the eye, and it's also been lost within the media.
Did I just say that it's okay to be racist?
No, you said there was nothing wrong with that.
Oh, that was certainly inadvertent.
Yeah,
how did I do that?
I just nodded my head saying, if that's what you think.
How did I do that? Well, anyway, I certainly don't think it's okay to be
Freudian
racist. So
slip.
Thank you. My lovely bride sends me a text that says, please tell the audience that you don't think it's okay to be racist.
Well, I thought you were tongue-in-cheek joking about it.
Was that? I must have missed it. I'll have to go back and listen.
When parts of the media that people are painting different groups within the Tea Party as bigoted and racist, because when they want to discuss facts and talk about government spending...
beer and racing. I thought you said racing.
So,
and you said racist.
But
okay.
Again, the part. So, we'll see if John Boehner's not up for the task, get rid of him. Who cares? I mean, hey, these guys down there and the ladies down there should be looking out for results that will help the country, and that's on both sides. And Nancy Pelosi was somewhat dismal in her results, and you see, Boehner can be judged when he leaves on what his results were.
And just to clarify, a Pelosi spokeswoman, Evangeline George, said her boss just wanted to remind the congressman that House Democrats had the courage to pass the DREAM Act and have the courage to stand up for what the American people want, bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform, and claimed that Pelosi had accepted the congressman's apology. But Moreno's chief of staff said he has not apologized and he won't. He has done nothing to apologize for. She was entirely out of line in approaching him while he was recognized and delivering remarks on the floor.
Yeah, and the protocol there, people don't realize if this was reversed and somebody would have said this when Congresswoman Pelosi was speaking, it would have been headline on top of headlines on top of headlines.
Because of the liberal media or the man versus woman thing?
Gender bias, and yes. NBC would have been running this within their news half-hour news show. That is, but again, you look at the DREAM Act. DREAM Act passed, went over to the Senate, and died.
All right, 1-800-795-9565. One of our listeners is on the line. Cindy, thanks for calling in. You're on the mark.
There's just so much contentious disinformation flying around our country, and I know there are people who really don't like for there to be numeric facts shared because they're not consistent with their message. But I would like to share a fact. The House of Representatives in the past 2 years in this session has passed over 300 bills. And they have gone to the Senate where they haven't even been taken up. Now, if you're opposed to whatever the bill says, then of course you're happy about that. But that doesn't mean that the House of Representatives didn't take action. And really, who didn't take action? The Senate. If you think back to when the PPACA was being argued in the Democrat House under Mrs. Pelosi, there was a group of representatives who impeded the passage of the bill in the House. And they did that because they wanted specific language about the use of the money regarding abortions. Do you remember what party that group, one of whom was our representative, my representative, who that party they belonged to? And I do.
So,
it was the Blue Dog Democrats.
Yeah, Democrats, and I believe there was a, I can't think of his name. Out of Michigan. There was a Democrat that was leading that charge.
Yes, right. Anyway, and Chris Carney was with him. And if you go back and look at the video on C-SPAN, as I do, there he is. So you can point fingers all you want at the Republicans, but it was Democrats who impeded it in the House of Representatives.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go to the Senate. Who impeded the passage of it? Let's remember that the Democrats had control of the Senate. Who impeded passage? Who was jerking them around, pardon me if that's an unacceptable word, about giving their vote to get it passed? They have the majority. In fact, they had a super majority. Mary Landrieu, the Democrat senator from Louisiana, until she got hundreds of millions more for her state.
Yeah, that's
Ben Nelson, another Democrat, until he got his state, they will never reduce the amount of money that they give to their state for Medicaid, where, they talk about there'll be these cuts in the future, but not for his state because he held out. In fact, he was the last Democrat senator, and he was the 60th vote. So, and there are several more. The guy from Florida, he got that. They get to keep
Bill Nelson.
that. So, I'm sorry?
Yeah, Bill Nelson with NASA.
That they get to keep their subsidy for the gourmet care under Medicare. So it wasn't, although is it true that the Republicans, some Republicans, many Republicans were against it? Yes. But it wasn't them that stopped it because the Democrats had the majority votes, in fact, the supermajority, and it was Democrats who, representing their constituents, one might argue, held out to get what they wanted in terms of money in the Senate and in terms of social policy in the House.
Yeah, and I think, though, Cindy, that Senate majority was with the independents who caucus with the Democrats.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, because somebody's going to email that in.
They had, in theory, they had the votes. So it's not fair. It's not accurate. Never mind this word fair. It's not accurate to say that the Republicans have obstructed things in Congress. They've passed 300-plus bills that are sitting in the hopper in the Senate, and invariably, once they pass, whatever bill it is almost, it goes to the Senate where the majority leader of the Senate stands up and says, we're not taking that bill up, I won't even address that bill. From my perception, if I brought a cake to WKOK, and then Mark announced, pardon me for dragging you into this, Mark, no one will eat that cake. And then Ben said, Cindy won't give us any cake. That's what's going on here. That's what's going on. Is it true that these people pass these bills? Yes. Is it true that some people oppose them? Yes. But to blame the people who voted to pass it, that it isn't passed the next chamber, is ridiculous.
Yeah, but also, too, Cindy, looking at it, the number of the volume of bills, if you're going to judge Congress on that, I mean, wouldn't you rather have them pass 5 that resulted in positive results economically, socially, take care of the debt, but instead of passing 300 and out of those 299 are useless? I mean, again, how do you judge a Congress? And it seems like this do-nothing Congress, they want to throw it out. It's, hold it, where is this stopping? And you make a very, very valid point, and some of the press has covered that, some not. What has died from when it went to the House, what has died in the Senate? And here are these bills.
Well, Tom Marino got a frivolous resolution passed as it relates to Little League. I remember that. So that
that's not frivolous to the people in Little League and the economic benefits of Little League to this area.
1-800-795-9565. We're going to take a quick break. Got a caller waiting. Got an email waiting.
Thank you.
Thank you. I never did say goodbye. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a very valid point.
All right. We're going to be right back on WKOK's On the Mark program.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Here's something to think about. How do you know if your insurance is the right price? Have you ever had your insurance reviewed? Do you remember when it was reviewed? And are you getting all the discounts you deserve? Let Groninger Insurance Agency give you a free, no-obligation second opinion on your auto, home, or business insurance. Give the Groninger Insurance Agency a call today at 570-473-8107. They're proud to represent the Erie Insurance Group. It's true, if you're not insured by Groninger Insurance, you're probably paying too much.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
On March 3rd last year, Henry W. faced his own death with incredible courage. He wasn't in an accident. He wasn't ill. He wasn't in any danger. But he faced this reality head on. If he died, his wife and children wouldn't be able to pay the mortgage, make the car payments, or keep up the life they'd had. His family would lose everything. So he picked up the phone and called AIG Direct. He found out that through AIG Direct, he could get a $250,000 life insurance policy for less than $14 a month. Now, he knows that he's helped make his family's future secure, no matter what happens to him.
Protecting your family with coverage through AIG Direct is fast, easy, and incredibly affordable. Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now. 1-800-463-7058. That's 1-800-463-7058. 1-800-463-7058.
Never can say goodbye.
Always highly, highly appropriate bumper music. So ethereal that we have no idea what he's talking about.
You said right before the break, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say goodbye. So it just popped into my head.
Okay, thank you. All righty. 1-800-795-9565 is the number. Memorize it tomorrow. You'll need it. Chris is going to consume our last moment of open phones. Thanks for waiting for the last minute.
What Cindy was talking about was completely wrong.
How so?
Wrong-headed.
How so?
Let's put it that way.
How so?
Oh, well, the blame... First of all, the Republicans filibustered everything because they had 41 votes, which doesn't leave you in control of the Senate.
I believe for a short period of time they had, with the independents who caucused with them.
Yeah, but not
they
when
had
those
60.
votes are being taken that she's talking about.
But overall, though, the House has passed legislation that's gone to the Senate.
Yeah,
and
with
the Senate
no
hasn't
intention
taken
of
them
ever getting that. They can't even pass normal business stuff like highway bills.
Well,
they can't pass anything. They couldn't pass this immigration business because Boehner won't let things pass that don't have a.
But Chris, if it passes,
it can't be passed by just Republicans.
If it passes and goes to the Senate, should the Senate take it up and at least vote on it? They can vote it down.
All right, 1-800-795-9565. You'll need it tomorrow, Chris, to finish the conversation. Joe McGranahan will be the co-host tomorrow. Thank you, Ben.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Kevin. And he's doing video switching. We'll let him. He's there. He's doing other important stuff. Lenape Solar, Groninger Insurance, and Sunbury Motor Company are our main sponsors. I'm Mark Lawrence. Thanks for joining us on WKOK Sunbury.